all, thank Books to Life Marketing. Before we dive into today's exciting interview, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Books to Life Marketing, the team making it all possible. They specialize in helping authors bring their stories to life through expert publishing, marketing, and media exposure. They're behind some of the most inspiring authors' journeys we've seen. If you're an author looking to elevate your book, Books to Life Marketing is the partner you want in your corner. And my guest today is Fred Buse. His book is titled Trends Due to Climate Change: The Effects of Climate, Weather, and Environmental Changes on the Annual Cycle of Life on Flora and Fauna in a Suburban Backyard. Fred, thanks for stopping by, and tell us a little bit about your background before we get right into the book.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Long Island. I still have my Long Island accent. I went to New York State Maritime College to become a marine engineer. So at the time, there were not many maritime offerings. So I joined Ingersoll Rand Company, and I was in the pump division. And after some years, I became the chief engineer of the commercial pump division. And I did that for 42 years. I had 42 patents when I had left. And then as I retired, my wife had Alzheimer's, so I became a caregiver for 9 years.
Oh my.
So even though I was doing that, I started this diary of what was happening in my yard, the flora and fauna. And so I've been collecting this diary for over 40 years. And so I was able to be cognizant of what they call climate change and took the data that I had and started to plot the temperature and the water and the snow against the years. And it was eye-opening, because if I had only taken it for 5 years, I might have gotten an altogether different picture that I'd had with 30 years, which really showed the trend of what's happening.
Absolutely. So I'm looking for this. So Frederick, what inspired you to chronicle 50 years of phenology in a single suburban backyard, and how does this long-term project begin?
It was curiosity,
Mhm.
basically. Okay,
Yeah.
basically curiosity, what was happening, just for my own sake. That's what it was. Yeah. And I said it was revolutionary to, as I started to plot and get trend lines of what was happening. Come on.
That's impressive because, think about those trend lines now. You can plug all the research you put in, put it into AI, and even explain things even further and dive deeper into people who maybe have done this. But I think this is intriguing because you did it yourself. You show that scientific background in a way. You show the ability to really dive deep and take one specific area and show that for such a long-term project. That again, a lot of people won't put that time into a scientific uh, discovery that you did.
Yes. So
So
one of
you,
the
go ahead.
one of the most outstanding things, though, that people can understand quite readily is that in the spring, when the leaves start to come out, we call that the canopy on the trees when the leaves come out. And that has increased 2 weeks in advance. Likewise, when the leaves come down in the fall, they're coming down 2 weeks later. So we now have an increase of 4 weeks in agriculture. So where you and I used to pick tomatoes maybe in August, now we're picking them into October. And so that gives you some quick idea of what's happening.
100%. Your book beautifully merges photography with environmental observation.
Yes.
What do you hope readers will feel and realize as they turn each page?
The anticipation, otherwise I have the book now and I start to read it because I go to the book not only month by month, but week by week in a month of what to anticipate of what's going to be happening. So the reader, as he turns the page, will be able to say, ah, I can expect this flower to happen, this bird to migrate. All right. Maybe the young birds are coming. And so that the reader can go leave it on his desk and open it up to the month and into the week as what to expect to happen in the yard.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned the goal is to plant in an acquisitive seed in readers. Can you elaborate on what that means and why is it important today?
Well, once the reader looks through this book and realizes what's been happening, maybe that reader will want to do the same in his or her yard and see what's happening. But not only the reader, but the children of the reader. I hope that the parents will start to instill that same type of thing into young people.
See, I think that's absolutely fascinating because this is where you add STEM big time or STEAM into the classrooms where you could get kids to want to be involved with their parents and create this. How difficult is this to be able to chart all of this and develop all this? What would, if someone wanted to try to do what you've done and start this project today, what are things he could do?
Well, it's very simple. Like in my paper, newspaper, we have the temperature each day. All right. Or on your power bill, it has the mean temperature of the month. So a person can very simply just take the mean temperature that's on their power bill and plot that against the year and see how the temperature increases and decreases over the year. The other way of doing it, Cornell has a program called Citizen Watch, Bird Watch. And you join that, and from November to April, the person looks at what birds he has and reports it to Cornell. And then at the end of the year, Cornell gives you a report back of what's happening not only in this area, but almost through the whole country. So it's very simple to start off with.
Sounds like it. Do you believe individual backyard observations like yours can contribute meaningfully to scientific understanding of climate change?
Yes, in the long run, but don't forget, I have the 20 years of experience. A person starting out now would have to say, okay, this is ground zero and start doing it year by year to really be informative of what's happening.
So tell me your take on climate change after doing this study for so long.
In what way? What I found?
What you found, is it such a concern after you've gone through and done this, or should we still be what can we do and what did you when you've looked and plotted the points and looked at year by year for so many years, is there a huge concern or not?
Yes, there is. Yes. Um, you know what planting zone is?
No, I don't.
Each uh, each state has a planting zone to put in your annuals and perennials. And that planting zone depends on the temperature. So I could not put a plant from South Carolina and put it in Pennsylvania and expect it to live. I have to look at what plants are basically in Pennsylvania. It's called a planting zone. And those zones are changing. We used to have a 5 in Pennsylvania. Now we're starting to get 5.5 and 6. So you should, if you plant a new tree, you should almost look and say, what's happening in the zone? What tree should I plant for the future for 20 or 30 years? You follow me on that?
Yeah, what about the people that say it's cyclical? It just goes through a cycle. You're able to debunk that with your scientific research in a way.
Yes, yes. Uh-huh. Um, as you make the plot and you look at it, it looks like the Rocky Mountains. It just goes up and down, like, the silhouette of the Rocky Mountains. But if I throw a linear trend line, it shows very definitely things going up, or maybe not changing some plants, or even maybe going down. But basically, the perennials are blooming 2 weeks earlier. All right. So that's what it shows right away. Not on all plants. And that can happen because as time goes by, your environment changes. After 50 years, my trees have grown. And so they put shade where there was no shade before. and so that might have an effect on it. But overall, and also the birds are migrating maybe 2 weeks earlier, which is bad because they depend on insects, and a lot of the insects have come and gone by the times the birds migrate. So there's very few insects for them. So that's why I feed the birds all the time.
So why do they say this cyclical thing? Do you see a cycle ever compare, or it
Oh
makes up
yes,
for it? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that's why I have the long trend. If I just take the cycle for 5 or 10 years, you might debunk the whole thing. Now, the most um, graphic is the snow in March. Okay, in the 1990s, we were shoveling snow all the time.
Yes.
You might remember that 20 or 30 inches of snow.
Yeah.
If I plot that 30 inches to now, it's zero in March. Otherwise, we got lately have no snow in March. Now, what has happened is that the temperature in March has gone up 6 degrees, basically. And so you're not going to get snow. So you might get rain, but not snow. See, that's there. Yep.
He said, so you're comparing your data from when to when?
Sometimes it's 30 years, sometimes it's 20 years. So it's the 1990s, sometimes it's 2000 to now. In some cases, I have it back to even 1980s, but it's
Have you
basically,
have you been able to figure out data from 80 to 50? Any data to kind of compare some of your numbers?
I show some, yes. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what are you seeing from the 50s to the 80s? Was there a lot of climate change at that time?
They were, the 50s were warmer in the summer and more snow in the winter. If I take the decades, even going back to the 1920s, okay, 1920s to now, decade by decades, the 20s had hotter summers and colder winters. And then that might be 50% of the time. And now it's only like 10% of the time. It's a regular curve showing the difference what's happening.
So the argument people that say it's cyclical, it's not. They just are choosing to pick certain plot points to make it look cyclical. Then
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you're saying.
And that's like snow. Now and then, right now, the snow is not that much, but every once in a while, we'll get a good one, and it might get like 20 or 30 inches, and it's a spike, as I call it. You're going along and things are smooth, and also bing goes up high. This phenomena that I see though, when we get these spikes of 30 inches, the next winter it's almost zero, and I've had this repeated quite a few
So a
times.
big outlier
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah.
your part of the country compared to another part of the country, do you see have that's where it'll be intriguing, right? If you
Ah,
could take
yes,
your
that's interesting. I've been looking at that. So if I take Las Vegas, okay, and the state of Las Vegas, they have 10 planting zones where Pennsylvania has one. All right. So you got me. They have 10 planting zones in that one state. It's due to all the mountains. All right. And Las Vegas is a man made area. Wouldn't it be interesting to know what the climate change effect is on a man made area of Las Vegas?
yes, it would.
That would be, yeah. And also, the mountains are not having as much snow, so they're not having as much water to go down to Las Vegas. So that state would be a real interesting thing to examine.
So why aren't more people doing something like you as scientists and choosing
It's called pheniology. It's a study of life outside, and there's a regular organization in the states of pheniology. Yeah, but I'm doing it just as a lone wolf type situation.
have you talked to the people that are doing those studies and share your data?
I've approached them a couple of times, and I told them about my book, but that's about as far as it's gone. Yeah.
Okay. That's what happens. Scientists say no, no, thank you. So you're seeing more of a spike. So like it's all in the data, right? and you're
Yeah.
looking at long-term data versus short-term data, or
Yes, it makes
comparing like the 1950s to the 2020s, and that makes no comparison at all versus comparison of a longer term, longer area. Everyone
that's
can kind of put the data together and say, oh, the climate change debate, people are, well, it's warm and then it's cold again.
yeah, yeah.
So, so do you believe in global warming versus global cooling? Because remember,
Well,
that's, okay.
global warming is a different thing from climate change.
Tell me how that is.
Well, the global warming is just that. It's the global temperature. Climate change is the weather being included in what's happening. Otherwise, if you go to the internet, look up the definition, you'll see global warming and climate change are two different things.
How do you feel the people that debunk climate change altogether?
Uh, they're in for a rude awakening down the
When do you
path.
see that rude awakening based on what numbers you've come up with?
Like the rude awakening is what's really happening with the whole planet. Like what I hear about different things. It's like take the sparrows, the little house sparrows. I used to have 20 or 30 of them. Now I'm down to 2 to 4. It's the same as this, what's happening to the sparrows. It could be the same as the canary in a mine, like carbon dioxide.
Or even lightning bugs
Ah,
are about to disappear, right?
let me finish with the other one. The French, a couple of years ago, did a study of the cell phone waves relative to the number of birds. Isn't that an interesting study?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to put down the cell phone waves, but I thought that was a very interesting study that they think that has an effect on the population of the house sparrow.
Yeah. I find this fascinating because, again, now what do you see things based on your study, Fred? Where should we be concerned moving forward? What do you, when does this really cause a lot of problems in this in our world?
Well, what's happening now is you see all the wildfires.
Yes.
That's devastation. That means that much less exchange of CO2 and oxygen by all those trees burning down massively. Okay. But what we as an individual could do is we should be planting native trees and native shrubs, not just because a tree is pretty or a plant is pretty. We should be planting native things. That's the main thing we can do.
I totally am seeing this, man, and it's very intriguing. Yeah,
Well, it
I
gets
mean,
even. I've heard things like the tilt of the Earth is changing. Now that tilt of the Earth that has a huge effect of what's happening in the weather.
so give me 20 years from now. Where do you see things? Do you see less? We have less animals on this planet.
No,
Less.
you might see what you're going to see is a difference in the foliage. Okay, otherwise farmers have to look in advance of what crops they can plant with the zones changing. Even the maple syrup industry has seen the effect of climate change. That's known. Yeah, and
Do
so
you think it's going to be such a horrible effect that's going to cause chaos in our world unless we start focusing on it more?
probably, but not here. Maybe it's where the water is. You know, like the South Pacific, where the water is rising, and but you can read about that in the paper type situation here. But locally, the people have to look at their own environment and what's happening.
Right. So do you like Florida would be one where really they better get their act together?
Yeah, yeah. And as I said, even out in Arizona and what they're planting as for wheat and such, that type of wheat is going to be changing. This
Hmm.
planting zones are changing.
Right. And we're going to become a global species at one point, and we're going to interplanetary species. At one point,
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to be in other planets, especially with climate change. If it continues to go the route it goes, at one point we're going to run out of our natural resources, and we're going to have to go to another planet. What do we say? Do you think that maybe some of these government decisions are made because they are planning on leaving Earth and going to other planets?
I don't want to get into politics.
But it's not a politics question. It's
Yeah,
more of a
yeah,
scientific because
yeah,
politically, that's not a political move by us going. Because remember, a lot of privatized
yeah.
space companies. I'm just seeing that as maybe who cares? Then there's gonna be resources somewhere else, and will there be other life in other planets? Do you see? You got to keep living, never die, Fred, to see this time.
Yeah. It's a long ways off, I hope. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, because you are seeing, but keeping your brain going is the reason to keep living, right? It's
yep.
exciting studies. I'm intrigued by this book because you're giving a different perspective. Do
I
you
hope
think?
so.
Well, you are because you're giving numbers,
Yep.
not a bunch of words or research. It's your
Right.
own research,
Yes. And people can take this data and interpret it the way they want.
right? But you at least show this data, and then you're giving in your book, you're giving specific reasons to be concerned.
Yes. Yes.
So concerned is we don't have as many planting, we're not going to have as many crops, correct?
I'll have a different type of crop. You'll have a different type of crop. And as the same thing as you probably know is happening in the ocean. The lobsters are no longer in New England anymore. They're moving up north further toward Canada. The sharks are moving up the East Coast in the summer. They want the warmth. Yeah, yeah. So it's not just the good earth, it's also the ocean too.
And I think that the big thing you're going to try to do in your argument, and this is where I'm taking it in a different direction. You get it because I'm knowledgeable in this area. I've had
Okay.
major experts on both sides, and
Yeah,
you're
okay.
giving me another side that you have no political agenda.
Yeah, I
You
hope
are
so.
you're just looking at saving our planet. And
I
that's
hope so.
and that's why you've written the book. Visual
Yep.
storytelling in this book is powerful. How do you decide which movements capture over the years and how to that they evolve?
Um, this, I said that the people have to get involved as far as what they're planting and know what's happening, and they aren't. They are not.
And I think educating them through this book will definitely do that, Fred. And that's the
Yeah,
key. That's the key, powerful thing.
yeah,
And what do you think? This is a book that's been written for 30 years. How do
yeah.
you feel about that? Finally, the book's out. How does
Oh,
that make
yeah.
you feel? Good.
Well, when I first drafted the book, it was 1,100 pages.
Gosh.
No one would touch it. All right. So I whittled it down to now it's about 480 pages. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good start. I mean, okay. So is there a book two out of this then? If it's only
Yes, there's a
480?
book too. I have one which just says what's happening, the lifestyle of backyard birds due to climate change. It's just about the birds and what's happening to climate change. Because
And
not everyone's interested in all the flowers, and people are, a lot of people are
and
interested
birds
in
are
birds.
something that intrigues you, it sounds like, Fred.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. But
What?
interesting,
Mhm.
over the period of time, over my little house here, I had 79 species I recorded going over a period of time. 79 species.
Oh my
And in that
goodness.
and in that period, I lost 12, but I gained 12. Otherwise, just due to climate change, some birds don't come here anymore. They don't come down as far south. And I'm gaining birds which are in the south are now coming up here.
That's wild.
Yeah. So,
It definitely is. And an intriguing what you're able to do, Fred. That's the thing of this and birds. So do you ever write a book just on birds alone? Not
well,
just
that's
climate
a, that's
change?
that's what the second book is about. It's about birds alone, and it's not just say this is a bird and this is the color. No, no. I tell the story about each bird and what I have and what they do, what intriguing things the birds do that most people don't even realize.
All right. And is there more books in the works for you after that? That book doesn't come out yet, right? This is the first
No,
one.
no. The other book just came out about a month ago. I have a book about Alzheimer's. For 9 years, I was a caregiver, and I gave it from a man's standpoint. Okay, about caregiving for Alzheimer's, which was quite a journey in itself. And I have a fourth book coming out, and that's about my wife and I, our experience as naive couple moving out to the country and what experiences we endured there for 9 years.
Oh, you got a lot of books in the works.
I have four books in the works. Yeah,
So do you enjoy writing?
I've come to the end. Yes, I did enjoy it. It was fun writing the books. Yeah.
You're no more books for you after that.
Well, you never know what there might be in the future. I don't know, but right now I have to sit back and say, okay,
And going through the process, tell authors that want to start writing how much of a challenge is to write.
quite a bit. I was very fortunate to have some friends who did the editing because my English as an engineer was not the best, and my grammar was not the best. So I have these wonderful people who have helped me out very much in that point.
And what do you love most about writing?
Uh, to be able to pass experiences and information to people who might not know about these things. A lot of people say, "Oh, yes, we know about this," but I say, "Do you really?" You know, and my experiences, life-wise, I go back many, many years where I tell people about things. They'll say, "What?" When we lived in the country, we had party lines, and we didn't have postmen. And it was altogether different experience. When you tell people about that, they look at you, they say, "What?" type of situation. But it was a wonderful experience and wonderful people.
Well, I think that, that's the thing. If you enjoy something that you love doing, keep writing. And after the four books, it's time to keep writing. I think of that's the fun thing about doing something creative that you enjoy and you're trying to pass down that information. And
That's
I've
what I'm
learned
trying.
some stuff now to look into it deeper. But I think what you should do, challenge yourself, Fred, is tell people, you know what, this is what I'm going to challenge you about climate change. I want you to go and read my book, then read the opposition's book and see which one really true has true research and what's true, like versus hearsay or opinion. Because we all have opinions, but the data does not lie.
Yep.
At the end of the day, data speaks volumes, and we're not putting the data and the research into anything anymore, are we?
No, no, no.
And having that point and that counterpoint. And are you done with that? Are you still recording those? Are you going to continue to record?
I'm still recording it down every day. Yes.
And
Yeah,
this year seems like it seems very hot now, and it goes
yeah,
from hot to cool.
yeah.
We can't really tell when we're ready for the next season to change, and that's climate change in its general, right?
That is right. Yeah.
We're not. It's gonna be hotter than hot in September, and then one day later we're gonna have snow,
Yes. Yep.
depending on what part of the country we're in.
That's the clue right there. What part of the country? Yep. Yep.
So why do you see climate change different in parts of the country? What is that reason that you see certain places that don't show those dramatic changes as much?
I There might be areas I'm not familiar with all the areas, but I'm sure we're all aware of what's happening in the Midwest and West this year with all the storms and flooding. Yeah, yeah. That's all part of the this changing weather.
Got it. Okay. Best place people can go purchase your books. Where can they go, Fred?
Amazon
Amazon.
and
Okay.
Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
If you go to my website, it's fredbuse.com, you'll see the list of books there.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Fred. Great conversation. Enjoyed the convo, and best of luck to you.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed talking to you. Very good.
I did.